Hello. Since I have enough time for one more stream of the day, I decided to finish off what I started in the previous part because it kind of bugged me that I didn't have enough time to do it. So I sorted out everything that I need to do, and I have enough time for one more hour stream of the day today, and before my girlfriend will finish work, and that's when I have to pick her up. So let's finish off the character movement, fix what was the problem. Um, and then have the encounters work. And what I mean by the encounters is the ability to actually trigger an enemy and let's add them to our battle script so they both load in appropriately as they should. Is everything working? Am I? Yep, I'm live. What we have here. So this is what we had, and well, this didn't work as we've expected it to. So firstly, I want to get rid of that. I want to redo how the raycast works, so to use the 2D raycast. Secondly, we need to fix that, and I believe I know what the problem is because I was thinking about it while I was doing something else. Let's have a look at this. So we have the x's and the y's. Okay, so that should be okay. However, we are not moving the character. Using the vectors is fine. We want to still do move character, like so. What we have here, we have the vector 2 for our direction. Now, what we kind of want to do is, what does, wait, what? Oh, no. So, direction check, like so. Let's run the direction check in each of these, like so. And what the direction check for now will do is it will just start the coroutine, and that will be the move character. And there is one thing, well, this should not work as we intend from the start, simply because, yeah, there we go. So we are moving, but not as we want to. And that's because we're not using this. I actually realized this as soon as I was probably finishing up with the stream, that is moving is not actually used anywhere. So what we actually have to do is we can only run this is if moving is not true. Because if we are already moving, well, then that's what actually was throwing our code out of the loop, if that makes sense. Come on. So now let's click on a character. So now we're still doing some crazy numbers here, which is no good. Okay, so don't need that. Where are we doing it wrong? Sorry, transition speed set to 1, that's okay. Don't need the mask for now. Okay, so our start position. Okay, let's go through this. So start position .x plus, that's fine. And then we, whoa. .y. And then we're plussing that again. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense now as to why that part was wrong. Okay. And we're still being a little bit funny. Come on, buddy. Ah, this has to disappear. Now that I think about it, we no longer need to do that. Why not transitioning again? Let's move time out of here. Enter transition speed. Let's lower it slightly. This is like a little try to find out what's wrong part. Why are you being funny? Wait, are we yielding? We are. Actually, let's just add a. I don't would not like it would matter. And a 2D box collider. Well, since this is not working for now, let's actually finish up this part. Raycast hit 2D. Physics 2D. Raycast. Transform. Position. And then our. What's our. Is that should be vector 2, right? Is it vector 2? It is a vector 2. Okay, so that is fine. Actually, let's change it. Not like it would matter. Under any way. Okay. Ray distance, and finally our interaction mask. And then what if, and then our collision hit is dot collider, and that's when we can run this set of code. So where do we have? What do you mean? Too many lines? Oh yeah, I didn't finish it properly. Okay, we have that set up. Let's grab one of the tiles and just add a layer, call it wall. Where are we? Make this field serializable. Where are we? Remove that. Add this here. And wait for Unity to load 10 years later. Okay, let's add 2D box collider here. Add a wall. Okay, so we are not moving. And then let's just do a check, temporary check in here. Else debug.log is colliding, like so. And do a debug.log checking. Actually, just put one here. Debug.log hello, like so. Okay, so we are running the hello in. Okay. So is moving is. Why are we not moving? That's so weird. Wait a minute. Oh my god. I'm such an idiot. So time is always greater than 1, so we're never moving because we start with 0 at the time. Oh my god. No way. Was that the only reason? Okay, well, there you go. No, that was bad. Now let's set up the interaction mask and slightly make it go faster. Oh my god, I cannot believe I spent over half an hour doing this. That's depressing. Wow, what a wow. So yeah, how to try to solve an error out. Spend an hour trying to figure out what's up. Oh yeah, I didn't set up the mask. So our mask is going to be a wall. Let's just check that the object is set as wall. Yeah. So let's just check if collision works with 2D raycasts. I actually don't use 2D raycasts a lot, so there you go. We can't move further because it's a wall. Let's set it at a proper distance away though. Actually a bit closer to the character maybe. Like this, and let's make that one to be our, let's call them temporary encounters. And let's add our encounter system into each of these, make them a trigger. Why do I feel like I'm adding it to the wrong one? Because I am. That one. Encounter system, box collider 2D is trigger. Let's set it at 0 and 2, and then just duplicate this a few times. Why is this so small? It should be bigger. Okay, so these tiles are too small, or what I want them to be. I guess the easiest way to do it would be to remove the sprite renderer from here and add a new sprite inside. Drag and drop the image, size. Wait, let's remove box collider. Actually, we'll play with the assets later. It doesn't matter for now, seriously speaking. Let's just leave it as is. As long as it works, go away. As a temporary art, that's all that matters. Okay, so each of these should have a chance to trigger an encounter, and let's see how we're going to do our encounters. We can remove this temporary line. So for time, yeah, it's a very nice small self-contained piece of code. I'm happy with how it turned out, even though we've spent way too much time on it. Does each of them have an encounter system? Yeah, it does. And does encounter system have something that will tell us that we've encountered? Oh, actually, does on trigger enter work on 2D colliders? On trigger enter 2D, I think it should be. Oh. Is there a 2D version? Quick Unity check. Unity on trigger enter 2D. So there must be a 2D version of it, right? Yeah, there is. So collider 2D and on trigger enter 2D. There you go. So that's my bad. Like I said, I don't really use 2D all that often. No wonder we were not getting any encounters. Also, I just realized that I slightly fudged up, because when I press up, we go up. When I go right, we go right. But when I press left, we go down. And when I press, we go the other way. So where are we? It's the left, which is the A button. Ah, so down, left. There we go. Okay, that was weird. Okay, now let's try to get some encounters in. Oh, is our player tagged, by the way? Yes, he is. Are these guys triggered? Yes, they are. So let's just do a debug.log. Player walked into the bush, just to see if we're getting the collision check. Okay, so we're not detecting collision between our player and this piece of collision. We do have the rigid body though. This is why I don't like. This is why I don't do 2D. Okay, so it's definitely not reading collision check, which is weird. Which is so weird. 2D Unity collision. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Let's try this and just do this. Yeah. Actually, are they all on the same? They are. That's so weird. Makes absolutely no sense. What am I doing wrong? Wait, do these need to have rigid bodies? I don't think so. Only one person needs a rigid body, right? They all have the same 2D colliders. Yep. Wait, where are we? First one. Okay. I'm actually so confused. Why are we not colliding with our triggers? It's called when a 2D collider enters on top of another collider. And why is this called if it's not two colliders on top of each other? Okay. Maybe it's the tag. Oh my god, it is the tag. Ah, oh, another blunder. That was, again, very dumb of me. I think it's too late. It is just too late. Yeah, of course he walked into the bush. Which one was it? So does the first one work? The encounter one? Yeah, it does, and it actually works properly. So wow, yeah, that's a big wow. Remove that. Okay, so as we saw, it actually did collide properly. So if we walk in, there we go. We found the rare encounter straight away. I don't know if 50% is not going to be a lot. I mean, too much. So maybe we should nerf the odds slightly. So let's think about it. Chance to encounter is a number that's going to roll. Um, I guess let's. So if our odds are higher than the number, no, if our odds are lower, so if I do it to 30, it will only trigger if it's under 30, which I think is better than if it's over. Okay, now let's try to get a... Okay, so it does, although I don't know if it doesn't happen. It doesn't roll a lot. Okay, whatever. Let's change it back to 50 then. If anything, it can be adjusted later. So we have our encounter rate. We can quite easily add a character that will be put through. Let's go into the other scene where we have our world. No, in this one, and go into our prefabs. Make sure that this prefab is updated. Always set the position to 0. And let's go back into the world scene, drag in this prefab over here. And what we kind of want to do is make sure we have one character to start the game off. And then we want to have one enemy on any of these tiles. So I think the easiest way to add an enemy would be to have this scriptable object to the enemy that we can have. So let's just make a serializable field and have a private character, and it's going to be the enemy to encounter. In fact, that could be an error. How can we do it? What would be the best way to do it? Should we have an encounter for each type of an encounter? Because every enemy should have some kind of a rarity, I guess, attached to them. Let me think. What would be the best way to... I know, I'll just have a list of possible enemies to encounter, and every enemy will have a stat of odds of encountering. So let's create a list and of characters, like so, and that's going to be enemies to encounter, and that's going to be equal to new list of enemies, like so. And if we now go into the tile, we now have this, which takes in a scriptable object, which can be found in here. So if we then drag in a character A, character B, they will appear. Of course, that also means that we need to modify the character class. So let's open the character class to work with it. And we need to create a new section. So let's type in the encounter system. And let's make a serializable field, private, and that's going to be, I guess, encounter rarity. Although different characters could technically have different rarities in different areas. So I don't know if that's a good way to go about it. Let me think. Do we make it here, or do we make it in the other class? Will our what's the other class? It's an own character. No, it can't be in there. Yeah, let's do the encounter based on the area, actually, rather than doing it here. I think it will make more sense. Yeah, so what I could technically do is create... So this could be, rather than a list, it's going to be an array of characters. So character, and that's going to be array. So available characters, like so. And we'll just duplicate this, and we will have a float, and that's going to be the rarity. I guess we can call it rarity factor. Int. Could multiple characters have the same rarity factor though? Yes, they could, because you could technically have 3 different common enemies that you draw from. So that could, in a sense, be not a very good design choice. Or would each character keep their own rarity regardless? It's just that the odds of the rarities in that specific tile would be different. That's I think we'll go with that aspect instead. So the rarities of a tile will be things that can be changed, but yeah, we will do it this way. So if we go into characters, we will create a header, and we'll call this the encounter system, and we will simply do a public enum, and we're going to call it rarity, and that's going to be a common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and legendary rare, like so. So now we have, and then public rarity. Of course, this has to be here, doesn't it? Yep, like so. I know I kind of want to move this down here in that case. Okay. Now we have our rarity system with the ability to set up our rarity per character. So if we click on a scriptable character, we can select what kind of a rarity they have. So let's create several characters to play this around with. So we'll have a common. Let's have 2 sets of commons, 1 uncommon, 1 rare, 2 very rare, and 1 legendary rare. And let's call them by a character B, character D, character C, character E, and finally character F. Now let's give them names: character A, character B, F, A, B, C, D, E, F. Yep. So we have our A and B, we have our character C, we have our character D, character E, character F, and character G, like so. Now for our game manager, let's give our character only 1 character, which is going to be character A. Now let's actually make it character D. And let's apply this for now. Wait. Oh, because the elemental character. That's fine. Ignore that. So now what will happen is, if our encounter system, so let's just create a boolean, private bool has encountered, and that's going to be equal to false on enable has encountered is equal to false. So when the object loads, encounter resets to false. It stores all characters that can spawn within this tile. It sets up the values of rarities for this tile. And then what we can do here is just do a serializable field like so. So we can manually change that pair tile if we choose to. No, this triggers the character and counter with the player like so. And what we'll have is once we have this, so we'll do if has encountered is equal to true. Now we need to set that up in here first. So if we find this character, what we do have to do then is just loop through each of our available characters. So for available characters.length, if a available character is I dot, I guess, dot rarity is equal to legendary, then we kind of want to do something. We would want to do the exact same thing for very rare, and uncommon, and common. So common, uncommon, rare, very rare, like so. So what do we want to do here? We want to add this character to a temporary list, and then randomly choose which character we want to add from this. And then if we don't have anything in that specific rarity, then we're just going to break. So let's create a list and call it of characters and call it possible characters to battle. And then what we do is possible characters dot add, and we will of course add this like so. And let's just make that to new. What's the problem here? Oh, yeah, let's finish this off and then modify everywhere else. So, and then what we want to do is we want to change our has encountered to true, because we have definitely encountered something. So let's just copy that in. Change that to very rare. Change this to rare. Change this to uncommon. And finally change the last one to common. Like this. Now let's exit all of these. Well, no. So then if has encountered is equal to true, then that means, well, we of course have something in this. So we'll first do if check if possible characters to battle dot count is higher than 0, then we can proceed. Else we just set our has encountered to false, because we can't really encounter stuff if there is nothing there to fight. So that's in case there is nothing in this system. But if it is higher, then what we'll do is we'll do int random encounter from pool, and that's going to be random.range, and that's going to be between 0 and possible characters.count. So this will draw us a random number. So in case we have more than one type, it will just choose which one is going to be battled. Now, with this done, we can now move into the next scene. So what we will do is we now pass the character to the battle to be battled, and then switch the scene. So we'll use scene manager dot. Actually, we don't have to do that. We can just pass, and that's it. So let's go to our game manager. and create a function, public void start encounter. And what this does is it starts encounter based starts a battle between the character and between player and AI. So what we'll do here is we'll do game manager.instance.start encounter, and what we want to pass through is our possible characters to battle at the index of random encountered character, like so. And that's the entire encounter system actually fully functioning. So this checks if there are enemies in the encounter category and starts the battle. And what we have here checks the odds of encountering and then adds all characters from the rarity the list, which is used to generate random enemy, like so. So what we have here, the odds of triggering the I guess what do we call it, the tall grass. Checks if we have encountered an enemy or not. That we have here. Okay, now let's go into game manager, and we want to take in a character. So enemy to battle. Like so. And what we'll do here is we'll do scene manager dot load scene, and we're gonna load the battle scene like so. Let's have a look. Battle scene. Of course, this can only happen if we have a character in our party. So if characters in party dot at 0, the party count is higher than 0. Yeah, so if we have more than 0 characters in our party, only then we can actually trigger the battle. And then else we'll just do, for now, debug.log warning. There are no characters in the party, so the battle cannot start. Of course, later on we'll produce a different mechanic which will handle this, but for now, that's all we need to do. And of course, we need to store the enemy somehow. So we'll do private void, private, let's make headers, some headers in here. So we'll do first header is going to be our player owned, and then the second header is going to be battle related. So our first battle related will be a private character enemy to battle, like so. And if we just go here, we will set our enemy to battle to enemy underscore battle, like so. And with this should load in the battle scene properly. So let's give this a try and make a and now we can't encounter anything. Wait, is there an enemy that we dragged in the enemies? No, we haven't dragged any single one. Okay, so let's select all of them, lock them in, go into our characters, and then drag each and single one of them in here like so. Well, that at least means that the system works, so we will not trigger if there is nothing there to be triggered. And this is where I'm like, is it really working, huh? Oh, it actually did load. So now we've loaded to the battle. We have a reference to our enemy, which can't be seen just yet, but let's work on that now. So we can actually force battles later on anyway by self-assigning. So let's do serialize field here and press play. Now let's replicate this process real quick. Oh, that was a quick one. So now we see that character E and character D have been loaded in, which is exactly what we want. So let's give every character some kind of a stat. So character, let's just do a base health of 80. This one's going to have a 70, 35. I'm just going to randomly click buttons and something's going to happen. Also, my 6 doesn't seem to work properly. Let's do 7, 12, 15, 5, 12, 10, 10, 5, 6, 10. It's going to be, I don't know, 17, 3, 7, 12, 21, 3, 20, 15, 15, 9, 50. Sure. Let's give this one 18, 18, 10, 5, 15, 4, 15, 15, 5, 5. And for that one, let's do 2, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7. Yeah, sure, that'll be good enough. Now that we have some kind of a stats assigned into it, let's give them IDs. So we'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There we go. Don't need the character sprites, no alternative, nothing, that's fine. So the game loads in, and so that means we no longer need any of these classes. Well, actually the game manager is always necessary. I feel like we can go slightly longer with this one, looking at the time. So let's go into scripts, let's go into the battle manager, and let's go into the disk script, and we need the battle controller. So let's just assume we've loaded the battle. So let's just attach any of the enemies in. So what's going to happen here is the very first thing that will happen in the battle controller is we will actually, what do we have here? Enum changing, that's no. So we will have a new region and we'll call it setup and region. So what setup will do is it will set everything up, private void. So that's going to be a grab enemy data. So first we'll get the enemies and then we will be private void grab player data, like so. Now we're not going to have any of these characters here. So let's delete them altogether. In fact, no, let's leave one of them. So let's call it empty character. And we will add in a sprite render and just add anything for now. Like so, it's good enough. we will need 2 points on our scene where we can place our sprites. So let's get those down here. Let's just do a heading. So this is going to be header. The units management. Above it, let's just do a header and call it the prefabs and positions. And here, for now, let's have a private transform, and one's going to be the player position, and the other one's going to be the enemy position. So player will refer to us, the enemy will so the starting positions of our player character and the enemy character, like so. Characters that are currently active in battle. All the characters in the battle, like so. What do we have here? So for in the start, we'll then do grab enemy data, and we'll do grab player data. So what grabbing of the enemy data will do is grab enemy data. The grab enemy data will get will basically at where are we? We'll do the following. So it's going to be total characters in battle dot add. Wait, character battle controller. No, so we need to instantiate a game object here. So we'll do instantiate, and for that we need a new prefab. Where are we? Private game object. No. Character battle controller, and that's going to be the empty character controller. Reference to the empty character object that will be populated with player or enemy data, like so. Let's have a look. So we will instantiate empty character controller. So we'll call it game object go for now as game object as we're casting it. And then our go.transform.position will be at the enemy position, the transform.position dot game object, because it's a class. Well, actually, we can just change that to a game object simply because the reference is unnecessary. Okay, so with this done, we can then we can then do character battle controller. So let's call it CBC is equal to go.getComponent character battle controller, and there we'll just do a setup character function. So here we'll just do public void setup character, and setup character will take in a character char like this. Oh, character, sure. That's how you want to be picky about it. And then we'll do this, and we'll do cbc.setup character, and we'll be passing through game manager.instance. And I believe we need to make this now accessible. So enemy to battle will be a only get, not a set. And actually, since these will start piling up, I'm just going to do them at the very bottom of our code so they just don't get in the way. And that'll be the enemy to battle. With this, we have our connection. Let's do the exact same thing for our player. However, what we'll do here is instead of enemy, we'll use the player of ours. So characters in party will be, there you go, will be a set value, well, a get value. And in here, we'll do characters in party at put 0, because we want to start the game with the very first character. Of course, this is where we get a slight problem, because we store on characters. And actually, on characters have a little bit more statistics than the enemy characters. So what we really want to do is we want to convert a basic character to an owned character, and that's actually what we want to pass. So rather than passing through a character, we want to pass in a owned character. And of course, that's going to give us slight issues with this line here, but that's fine. But there is no issues here, and that's all that matters. So what we essentially have to do here is just add another line of code. So let's just create our own new character, which is a temporary character. So own character, let's call it new character, and that'll be equal to a new own character, like so. And now our new character dot, and then own character has actually a field for a character, although it's not accessible. So let's put this in here. And we will need to use the set property. So we'll do character is equal to our CBC. No, not the CBC, to our game manager dot enemy to battle. And in here we can even randomize the other stats. So let's put a comment. We can randomize the IV EVs here. So that means that they would be randomized on the encounter when it loads. Let's add some comments. So sets up the enemy that we are about to battle. And then here we'll have sets up the character player character that will battle, right? And now we've created our new character. We made it equal to that card's the character from the card, so we can just pass in the new character like so, which is great. And with this, now here, all we have to do is set everything up. So we have our health, attack, and defense values, etc. Now we're going to have some kind of a maths, and I haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet. So for now, we'll just do health is equal to character dot, and this is where we're just going to make everything that we can as a get property. So again, we will have to have access to all of these values here, including the name. Also, character is spelled wrong. Character. Yep. Yeah, ignore it. So what do we have here? We're not going to be setting anything at any point. We only get those values. Those values only are get, never set. So what do we have? Base def, SPA, SPD, SPD. I'm just going to do these while I'm at it as well. Again, no setting, only getting, go away, and go away, like this. It's actually some errors. Okay, so dot base. So character dot, I believe character dot base at dot base health, like so, and we'll just do this for every single stat. So I think there's 6 stats, so we'll do attack, defense, special attack, defense, special attack. What else is there? health, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. Now let's change base to attack. The base attack, the base defense, base special attack, base special defense, and finally base speed. 1 second, I'm getting messages, so I need to check them out. Okay, sorry for this. What were we doing? So we were just setting up this. I feel like we have to have some kind of a formula class that we can use. So let's create a new folder and call it utilities. Utilities. Now in the utilities, we'll have our stat formula. The reason why I'm calling it that because we will be calculating this off of a formula. It just makes more sense that way. Because we have the EVs, IVs, etc. So let's just do a public, in fact, public static calculate battle statistics. Yeah, it has to be void. Or actually, private int. And we'll have a int, what do we call it? The converted stat. And we will return, it's equal to 0. And then, of course, return converted statistic, like so. For now, leave it as this. And what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a integer base stat, float IV, float EV, integer level. So those will be the 4 parameters that will be changing what our base statistic is going to be. Now I need to Google how it's going to work because I have no idea. So calculates the statistics based on values provided, and then finally calculates the stat based on base stat, the IVEV individual, and for values multiplied by level. Yeah, so that'll be that. But for now, we're just going to leave with our very basics system. So how it's going to work is we'll just do something like health is equal to stat formula dot calculate, and then we pass through all of the stats because that returns the value. Okay, so with this, we've set up our character. We should be setting up, yeah, so once the character gets set up, we need to display the health and set all the states. So I believe this is where we will call in our initialize instead of anything else. So we'll just do this at the end. No, that can actually stay an update. Let's check how this is going to work. And let's make this serializable for now. Just want to get to a point where we load in all of, well, as much information as we possibly can. So we own character, we pass in, we should act, I'm still gonna take a reference to that. So let's have our own, a copy of the owned character. So this is the character in play. The reason why we want this is because I plan on having, so start the characters information for the ability selection, because we want to know what abilities he has, and there is no better way than doing this. So our character in play is going to be equal to a character, like so. Now let's test everything out. So if I press play now, we should have a enemy and a player. Oh, we should have nothing because we didn't attach any of the objects. So first, let's create a empty game object, give it a color, and it's going to be our player spawn location. And then our second one is going to be the enemy. It's not really a spawn, enemy platform location. Player platform location. Now we have the following things. Now the empty character has to be a prefab. So let's move the empty character here and remove this from our empty character. And let's go into our battle controller and attach our empty character. Where are we? Is it not serializable? No, it's not. So let's do this and attach our problem platforms and the character. It would be nice to do the health as well today, and then we can move on to the harder stuff later. So empty character controller we have here, the prefab zone position, enemy position, and player position. I kind of don't like how this is weirdly tabbed out, if that makes sense. So firstly, let's move this to the very top, and this here, and this separate. Just gonna cut this, and I'll do serialize private transform. There we go, like this. So what that literally changes is just how it displays. There you go. Now they're all under one tab. It looks neater. Okay, with this done, let's run the code. I think everything should be set up properly now. Off the top of my head. So we have an error. What's the error? Okay, so processing is the problem. Like, what is it? Oh, I think we didn't add the so one thing that we didn't do is total characters dot add, and we need to add our CBC. So that's one thing that we didn't really do. Wait, why are you giving me errors? Oh, 0. My bad. And now we have two characters which are identical. They're actually spawned as well with their appropriate base stats. Let's actually change the name of the prefab while we're at it. So let's just do go.name, and that's going to be equal to our not CBC. It's going to be equal to dot character dot name, character name, like so. We're going to do the exact same thing in here, but instead we'll just use new character. character name. Like this. And with this, it should work fine. Let's press play. And with this now, each of our characters has no name whatsoever. And why is that? Why is... There's no name here, right? Whereas, where are the script tools? Oh, I didn't give them names. So, character A. Well, that means as the system works. Character B. Character C. Character D. Character E. Character F. And then character G. That's it. Yeah, I think this is where we're going to stop for today. I'm quite happy with, there we go, character B and character D have loaded in. I'm quite happy with how this works. I mean, we already have a significant chunk of it working now. Of course, let's check which character is going to be the first one to attack. So character D should be the first one up the list, and it is the first one to attack. So what we're going to add tomorrow is, I guess, keep expanding on this on the battle system by adding in all of the UI bars so they look appropriately, as well as make sure that the health loads, all of the text components load appropriately based on our character. And then we will move into attacks. We'll finally start working on the attacks. And in the meanwhile, in my some spare time, I'll try to figure out the formula that we'll use for calculating everything. Thanks for today.